A 7-year-old child quietly wipes the classroom floor. No janitor, no punishment, no teacher forcing him. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, many American students are taught something completely different. Someone else will clean it. And hidden inside that small cultural difference is an entirely different philosophy of life. Because this isn't really about cleaning. It's about responsibility, identity, pride, and the kind of adults a society creates. Japan and America are both modern nations, both wealthy, both highly developed. But the psychology inside their schools could not be more different. One culture quietly teaches, you are responsible for the world around you. The other often teaches, your job is individual success. And what's fascinating is that this tiny school habit starts affecting everything later. Discipline, humility, social trust, mental pressure, even loneliness. But there's a darker side to this story too. Because the same system that creates respect in Japan can also create emotional silence. And understanding that contradiction changes how you see both countries forever. In many Japanese schools, the day does not end when the bell rings. Instead, something unusual begins. Students stand up quietly. They pick up cloths, buckets, brooms, and together, they clean. In many American schools, cleanliness is usually outsourced. There are maintenance workers, custodians, cleaning staff. Students are expected to focus on performance, grades, sports, achievements. And this model makes sense in a highly individualistic society. America was built on personal ambition, competition, freedom, self-expression. The message becomes, focus on becoming successful. But Japan developed differently. Its culture evolved around harmony, group responsibility, social awareness. And schools became emotional training grounds for society itself, not just academic factories. But here's the hidden psychological effect most people miss. When children clean shared spaces together, they begin seeing themselves as part of something larger. And that changes behavior in ways statistics alone cannot explain. Most education systems teach through words. Japan often teaches through repetition and environment. Without lectures, children slowly absorb ideas like respect shared spaces. Do not create unnecessary burden for others. Your actions affect everyone. The lesson becomes physical, not theoretical. And psychology shows something important. People protect what they help maintain. A child who cleans a classroom is less likely to damage it, not because of fear, because of connection. And this creates something modern societies are quietly losing: collective ownership. But there's another layer beneath this, a much deeper emotional layer. Many visitors describe Japan in similar ways: quiet trains, clean streets, orderly public behavior. But those behaviors don't magically appear in adulthood. They are conditioned early, again and again, through tiny rituals. And one of the strongest rituals is cleaning. Because every day, children unconsciously rehearse responsibility, not through punishment, through routine. And over time, discipline stops feeling external. It becomes identity. But there's something emotionally complex hidden here too. Because systems that create social harmony can also create emotional pressure. Japan is admired for discipline, but many Japanese people also struggle with intense pressure. Pressure to not disturb others, pressure to fit in, pressure to remain emotionally controlled. And this begins young. When collective responsibility becomes too strong, individual emotions can become suppressed. Children learn, do not inconvenience people, do not stand out too much, do not disrupt harmony. And over time, many become extremely considerate, but also emotionally isolated. This is the paradox. The same culture that creates social respect can quietly create loneliness. And suddenly, the story becomes more complicated than Japan good, America bad. Because both systems give something, and both systems take something away. America often emphasizes individuality, confidence, personal identity, questioning authority. And psychologically, this creates strengths Japan sometimes struggles with: creativity, self-expression, personal freedom. Many American students are encouraged to speak openly, challenge ideas, develop unique personalities. That can create innovation, but it can also weaken collective responsibility. Because when individuality becomes extreme, community can weaken. Public spaces feel less emotionally shared. And slowly, society becomes more fragmented. Not always intentionally, just psychologically. But this next point may be the most important of all. Most people think civilizations are built through politics, or economics, or technology. But many societies are quietly shaped through childhood rituals, tiny, repeated behaviors, daily emotional conditioning. A child who grows up hearing, "someone else will handle it," becomes a very different adult from a child who learns, "this space belongs to all of us." And over decades, those small differences compound into public behavior, social trust, civic responsibility, even national identity. The future of a society often hides inside ordinary routines nobody questions anymore. Imagine two children. One grows up constantly competing. The other grows up constantly cooperating. Years later, they enter adulthood carrying invisible psychological maps. One asks, "How do I succeed?" The other asks, "How do we function together?" Neither is fully right. Neither is fully wrong. But modern society is beginning to reveal something painful. Extreme individualism can create loneliness. Extreme collectivism can erase identity. And perhaps the healthiest societies of the future will need both. The real lesson was never about cleaning schools. It was about what cultures choose to normalize. Because children rarely remember lectures. They remember systems. Routines become beliefs. Environment becomes psychology. And once you notice this, you start seeing hidden cultural programming everywhere. How countries eat, how they apologize, how they wait in line, how they treat silence, how they define success. Every society trains emotions differently. Not loudly, quietly. Maybe the question is not, why don't American students clean schools? Maybe the deeper question is, what kind of human being is each culture trying to create? One culture fears losing individuality. The other fears losing harmony. And somewhere between those fears, modern humanity is still searching for balance. Because the strongest societies may not be the richest ones, but the ones that teach people how to live together without losing themselves. The next time you see a clean street, or a loud classroom, or a silent train, you may realize something unsettling. Cultures are not built by governments alone. They are built by millions of invisible habits, repeated by children long before they understand them. And sometimes, the future of an entire society begins with who cleans the classroom floor.